When the grid goes down, will you have the power you need to survive? Have you ever wondered what's the best way to be prepared for grid down? Solar or gas? Which is going to be best to keep you powered up and give you the best bang for your buck? In today's video, I'm going to dive into generators. I'm going to go over the differences between gas generators and solar generators, the pros and cons of each, and things to consider when you're purchasing so you can make the best decision for your situation. And a little later in the video, I will share with you what's even more important to have than a generator of any type. No matter what kind you choose, a generator is a big investment. I know things are tough for a lot of people, and a big purchase like this is not a possibility for everyone. But if you look around at some of the major disasters that we've seen in recent years, from hurricanes to ice storms to tornadoes and flooding, whenever there's a large scale and extended duration grid down, we see generators save the day in a big way. If you talk to those who have been through these events and ask them what they learned from it, generators or solar power stations are going to come up time and time again. So it's definitely something that's worth moving up on the priority list and budgeting and saving for. Many people don't want to spend the money on a generator, but then when they find themselves in a situation where they need it, they're scrambling to buy one. After disaster strikes is not an ideal time to be buying a generator. They disappear quickly off the shelves in an emergency, and you're going to be stuck buying whatever you can find, if you can find it, and usually at a premium price. Planning ahead allows you to do your research, choose a type and a brand carefully, and watch prices to get the best deal possible. And have your generator at the ready when you really need it. Let's dive in. First of all, what exactly are we even talking about? For anyone who's not already familiar, gas generators, as the name implies, run on gasoline or propane and use an internal combustion engine to generate power. Solar generators, which are also called portable power stations, are not actually generators at all. Rather than generating power, they contain batteries that store power harnessed from the sun through the use of solar panels. These usually also have the option to charge the battery through wall outlets or car chargers. These basic differences between the two types of generators is the first factor in determining what kind of generator is right for you, based on safety and storage concerns. Because gas generators are large and they contain and burn fuel, they produce carbon monoxide. They need to be stored and operated outside of your home. So right off, these are not a good option for apartment dwellers, for instance. A gas generator should be stored in a well-ventilated outbuilding or a covered area when it's not in use. You'll also need to have a place to safely store the fuel, which is flammable and deteriorates over time. This means rotating your fuel supply regularly and following local regulations about how much fuel you can store and how it must be contained. A gas generator isn't going to do you any good without fuel to run it. When a gas generator is being operated for power, you need to take extreme care to operate it a safe distance away from the home, away from open windows, vents, anything like that, to avoid carbon monoxide poisoning. The generator needs to be connected into your home power system with a transfer switch or an interlock kit. Do your research and hire an electrician if this is not something that you're comfortable doing safely yourself. Another option that some people choose to do is using a through-the-wall kit or an extension cord through a cracked window. If you use the window option, using something like a pool noodle with a cutout for the cord is a good idea to seal out any possible carbon monoxide fumes. None of these are a concern with a solar generator. They don't hold or burn fuel, so they're clean, they're free of emissions, and much, much safer to store and run inside the house. They do not produce carbon monoxide. You can keep it and run it in your house. This is a huge difference. This makes them a great option for apartments and smaller homes without big yards or outbuildings. While there have been safety concerns in the past with certain lithium-ion batteries overheating and catching fire, most modern solar generators today now use lithium iron phosphate batteries. These batteries are much, much safer. They're more stable, they don't overheat, they're non-flammable under normal conditions. They also have other benefits, like they have a longer life cycle. You can charge them up and run them down many more times compared to the older traditional lithium-ion batteries. When you're shopping for a solar generator, it is well worth prioritizing models that use this lithium iron phosphate technology for the added peace of mind and the safety that it gives you. Solar generators come in many different sizes, but they are designed to be small, portable, and self-contained and kept inside the home. This is a huge difference. It also allows them to be easily moved to different areas of the house, different rooms within the house, so you can use it to generate power right where you need the power. This cuts down or even eliminates entirely the need for extension cords. These safety and storage differences are pretty closely related to the types of fuel that are used by each generator type. So let's dig into that next. One of the big downsides to fuel-powered traditional generators is that they are dependent upon consumable fuel. This is something that you are going to have to buy, you're going to have to store it, and it's going to be used up. So this adds an ongoing cost to the generator beyond the original purchase price that you paid. And it can also mean that your generator is going to be unusable if you become unable to get fuel for any reason. And this is a big concern during times of emergency. Gas generators run on gasoline. There's also dual fuel generators that run on gas or propane. They have that extra option. And there's tri-fuel generators, which add on natural gas as a fuel source option. When you're shopping for a fuel-powered generator, I highly suggest going with a dual fuel or a tri-fuel model. This gives you more options. In the weeks following a severe storm or another disaster, the fuel reserves are going to be wiped out quickly. And once you've gone through your stored fuel, it could be difficult to find more. Without fuel, you have no generator. The more different options you have, the more likely that you will be able to find fuel. And having these multiple options also gives you a little bit more wiggle room when it comes to the price you have to pay for the fuel. Another thing to consider here is that propane is easier and safer to store than gas, and it has a much longer shelf life. So having that as a fuel option for your generator is a huge bonus. If you do choose a fuel-powered generator, be sure to store fuel to use with it. That's very important. If you're storing gas, use fuel stabilizer for longer storage. And no matter what fuel you use, be careful, store it safely, be sure to rotate your supply and keep it as fresh as possible. One of the huge benefits of solar generators is that they don't use any kind of expendable fuel. They're fueled by the sun, which is pretty much infinite and free. With one big caveat: the sun needs to be out. You should be able to store enough energy during the day to take care of any nighttime energy needs. But during an extended storm, you may not be able to recharge that unit for days, at least not through solar. Solar panels can work through some cloud cover just at a lower capacity, but if you live in a place that pretty regularly doesn't see the sun at all, then a solar generator might not have as much appeal for you. There are other ways to charge them. You can use a wall outlet usually, or your vehicle's power system, but those aren't things that we can necessarily depend on in an emergency situation. Of course, depending on the capacity of the battery and your power needs, you may be able to get through several days without needing to recharge it. And no matter where you live, the sun will come out eventually. And then you will be able to recharge for free for the life of the battery, which is pretty significant in today's modern solar generators. But the amount of sun where you live is definitely going to be a factor that needs to be considered. All of these play into the ease of use, ease of setup, and portability of the two generator types. Gas generators are heavy, they're bulky, they're often dirty and smelly. They smell like gas and fumes. They're difficult to move around, especially for people who aren't necessarily as strong or who have physical limitations. They might have wheels on them, but they're still awkward to move. They're a bit more difficult to operate. They need fuel to be poured in or hooked up. They often need priming or pull starting. And you have to have knowledge of things like how the transfer switch operates. Like I've already mentioned, there may be setup tasks that require an electrician if you're not really experienced in those areas. By contrast, solar generators are clean. They're generally more compact. They're easier to move around and store. They usually have handles. Sometimes they have wheels on them that are just easy to use. They're very simple. They're just plug-and-play systems. They often have smart features like app control and remote monitoring. So solar generators definitely win with ease of use. The next thing to think about is the noise factor. Fuel-powered generators are noisy. There's no way around it. They're loud. This is never a good thing, but in most cases, having the power they provide is worth the discomfort of the noise. But there are certain situations when the noise and the attention that it draws could be a problem. In truly desperate situations, having a generator could put a target on your back from desperate and dishonest people. And a fuel-powered generator with its high noise output and its need to be outside in the open, it's hard to hide and it's hard to protect. That distinct noise the generator creates would tell people for miles around where you are and what you have. This is another area where solar generators do have a distinct advantage. They're virtually silent. The most noise that you're going to hear from one of these units is a very faint fan sound, like a computer kind of. This, paired with the fact that they can be kept and operated indoors, makes them much less detectable and much more protectable. There are other reasons besides stealth preparedness to think about noise level when you're considering a generator. Depending on where you live, there might be noise ordinances or HOA rules that restrict loud equipment. Although I can't imagine in a severe emergency that anybody is going to be enforcing those kind of things, but you never know. Also consider other reasons that you might want to use your generator besides emergencies. All gear is better used periodically rather than just sitting. We can make sure it stays in good working order. We can become familiar with how it operates before a stressful situation. And we're not going to feel like we're just wasting money on something that we never use. So think about whether you might use your generator for things like camping or other outdoor recreation, maybe outdoor entertaining, or use it on a job site. These are some other situations where noise might be a factor that you would need to consider. Now let's talk power and cost. That's a big one. And these two kind of have to go hand in hand because they're so interrelated. How much power can each of these options provide? Which one can handle your needs? And how much is it going to set you back? There's a lot of factors to consider here. Both gas and solar generators are available in a wide range of different sizes and a wide range of different prices. There's always going to be certain brands that are cheaper than others. You can always control your costs a little bit by shopping around, by using sales and things like that. But it's definitely fair to say you will get more power bang for your buck with a gas generator than a solar generator. I think the biggest pro, and maybe one of the only pros of gas generators, is their ability to provide more power to more items more easily. If you want to go all out, there's definitely whole home automatic backup systems that can seamlessly power your whole home, both in gas and solar powered versions. But what I'm talking about today is portable generators for emergencies. So with this type of emergency generator, it would be much more difficult, if not impossible, to get a solar generator large enough to power your whole home. Whereas a powerful gas generator can power all or most of your home as long as fuel is available. Gas generators also usually have a higher surge capacity. In recent years, solar generator companies have come out with expandable solar generator systems, which are essentially modular battery-powered power stations that are designed to scale up to meet higher energy needs, and they can come a lot closer to powering a whole home. These units usually consist of a base unit, which is the actual power station, expandable battery packs that pretty often stack on top of one another, and solar panel inputs for charging. These are very powerful, but they're also very expensive. A large unit could theoretically power a whole home, but it really couldn't run every appliance indefinitely like a gas generator with an unlimited supply of fuel could. Your solar generators are going to be limited by the battery size, which is going to govern how long you can run things, the inverter size, which is going to dictate how much you can run at once, and solar input, which controls how quickly you can recharge the system. To give a little bit of an example, for around $1,500, probably less if you catch a sale, you can get a 12,000 watt dual or tri-fuel generator. We have one like this that can power our whole house, including our fridge and our AC. We just have to be a little bit mindful of running too many things at one time. I'm talking like the electric stove, the electric dryer, things like that, like while the AC is running. There really isn't a portable solar system, even with expansion, that can run that same load simultaneously. You could get close, but a system like that is going to cost anywhere from 5 to 10 times more than the tri-fuel generator up front. And you would have to practice load management a lot more. You'd only run certain things at the same time, not everything all at once. When comparing lower wattage units between solar and gas, the price difference is not going to be quite as steep. You might only pay 2 to 5 times more for a comparable solar power station compared to the gas generator if your power needs are less. But you're still going to get more power for your money with a gas generator. The higher upfront cost of a solar generator does start to pay off over time because fuel costs for your gas generator can add up quickly, and there's no way around that cost. Whereas after the initial investment of the solar generator itself, the power is free for the life of the unit. To summarize the cost and power comparison, gas generators offer more power per dollar for your initial investment. The price difference is going to vary between brands and depending on your power needs. While solar generators cost more upfront, they have little to no ongoing cost of operation, while gas generators depend on the never-ending cost of fuel. Let's talk for a minute about maintenance and upkeep between the two types of generators, because this is an area that can also add to the cost over time, especially if you aren't comfortable doing the maintenance yourself. Gas generators require regular, sometimes complex maintenance to stay in reliable working order. They require things like oil changes, regular oil changes, spark plug checks, air filter cleaning or replacement. This leads to a lot of added cost from these consumable and replaceable parts, things like oil, spark plugs, filters, fuel stabilizer, belts, pull cords, carburetor parts, starter batteries, the list goes on. The engine and other parts of the gas generator also make storage more difficult and complicated, like I talked about earlier, and it means that the generator has multiple points of possible failure. By contrast, solar power stations are virtually maintenance-free. There's very little to do and no cost accrued except in the rare possibility of a battery failure outside the warranty. So when it comes to maintenance, solar is the clear winner. For a quick recap, solar wins for noise, safety, ease of use, storage, and maintenance, as well as ongoing fuel cost and availability. With its silent, clean, emission-free, simple plug-and-play use, plus its ability to operate virtually forever for free. Gas generators, while loud, unwieldy, reliant on a consumable and expensive fuel supply, and dangerous with their explosion and carbon monoxide risk, they still win the battle for price and power. So when you're deciding what kind of generator you should buy, first consider your living situation, your home style, your neighborhood or HOA rules. Determine whether you can actually keep and use a gas generator and the fuel used to run it. Also consider how much access you have to the sun's light where you live. Think about and calculate your energy needs. What do you need to power in an emergency? Is it your fridge and freezer, lights, well pump or a sump pump, medical equipment, maybe a Starlink router? Add up your power wants and your power needs to determine how much power generation you should budget for. Be sure to consider both running power and starting power. Are you or is someone in your home physically capable of handling a gas generator or a larger power station? What about the setup and the maintenance? Can you handle it yourself, or can you afford to hire someone to do it? Are you confident in your ability to store fuel and have access to fuel when you need it? And how important is it for you to have clean or quiet power? Think about other situations besides emergencies that you might use a backup power supply and what would work best for those situations. When you're shopping for a gas generator, look for dual or tri-fuel models for the reasons that I mentioned earlier. Consider extra features like electric start or noise reduction, and take into account the fuel tank size and the available outlet types. Check out both inverter and traditional types of generators. Traditional gas generators tend to be louder, larger, and produce more raw power at a lower cost, but the way that they deliver that power can be harmful to sensitive electronics. So inverter generators is another option, and they're usually quieter, they're more fuel efficient, and they produce a cleaner, more stable power that's better for things like computers, phones, medical equipment, and other sensitive devices. When you're shopping for a solar generator or a power station, look for that lithium iron phosphate battery because it's so much safer, it has a longer lifespan, and it's able to work in a broader range of temperatures. Also look at the input charging options. Can it charge by car, wall, and solar? And the type and capacity of the solar panels. And does it come with those solar panels, or do you have to purchase some separately? Other key features to look for include the number and types of outlets on the unit, the charge time, and the expandability. There's one more feature that some power stations possess that can be really good to have, and this is the ability to be used as a sort of UPS or uninterruptible power supply. This basically means that you can plug your power station into a wall and plug another electric device into the power station. Think something that might pose a problem if it unexpectedly lost power, something like a sump pump, a medical device, a security system, or maybe a fish tank, for example. If the power goes out, the power station is going to seamlessly take over and continue to power that device until the power runs out on the power station. And this can keep that device going either until the power comes back on, or at least until you can power it down safely or come up with a plan B. So look for that feature in a power station when you're shopping. There is one thing that is more important than what generator you choose, and even more important than having any generator, and that is being prepared to live without any power at all. One of the biggest mistakes people make in their prepping is making their prepping dependent upon power generation. Not everyone can afford a generator, and even if you can, many things could happen to that piece of equipment. It could break down, it could fail, it could be stolen. In a long-term SHTF situation, fuel is going to run out eventually no matter what. And even a battery that's designed to charge over and over again for 5 or more years, it's going to eventually die if a situation stretches on long enough. It's important to have a powerless way to do everything that you need to do, preferably more than one way. No matter what you have or don't have for a generator, it's important to always ask yourself, how would I do this task with no power? And stockpile the supplies and equipment that you need to do that. The ideal solution to the question of gas versus solar generators would be to have both, but to be prepared as if you have neither. That's what many people do. It's what we've done. We have a tri-fuel generator, like I mentioned, that can power our whole home, but we also have several different portable power stations with solar panels that we have in the home ready to go whenever we need them. When the power goes out, you don't necessarily know what's going on. You don't know how long it's going to be before the power is back on. So there's a lot to consider, and there's a lot of things that might be more appropriate. So we may not want to go out and fire up our gas generator right away because, number one, the power might be coming back on in an hour or something, and it might not be worth all of that hassle. Or the power might be out for a much longer time than we would expect, and we might want to conserve that fuel. So it's nice to have the portable power stations, the solar power stations in the house that you can pull out and get started while, just to take care of your needs that you have right then until you figure out what's going on and make a plan. And it's also nice to be able to take those power stations where you need them and use them in a bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, anywhere you need, whenever you need them. So many people want to have that. They want to have both a gas generator for large loads, short-term situations, and a power station or several for smaller tasks, for lower load days, or for use when fuel has run out or stealth becomes necessary. Or you need to budget your fuel. No matter what generator you choose, be sure to familiarize yourself with how to use it. Practice with it. Test it out every few months, and definitely before any impending storm. Be sure to treat and rotate your fuel if you have a fuel generator, and stock up on oil and other parts that you may need. Any spare parts, get extra. Keep extra extension cords. Store the generator, whether it's solar or gas, in an appropriate area, dry and protected. You also want to consider some sort of EMP protection for your generator or generators, and any parts that would also need protecting. A Faraday bag or cage large enough to contain the vulnerable items. That's going to be costly, but it may be the only way to ensure that they're still going to be fully functioning after such an event. I hope this look at gas versus solar generators has been helpful. Remember, a generator or a power station is something that you're going to undoubtedly be extremely thankful to have if you're faced with an extended power outage. It has the possibility of actually saving you money if it can preserve hundreds of dollars worth of refrigerated or frozen foods, for example, or even save a life if it allows you to run vital medical equipment or keep crucial medications refrigerated, or even just avoiding extreme temperatures in your home, whether high or low. Both of those can be fatal. But a generator is not the be-all and end-all of preparedness. If you can't have one for any reason, don't despair. Focus on ways to survive without power. Humans have done it before, and we can do it again. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, leave me a gas pump or a sun emoji down in the comments. Are you team gas or team solar? And check out this video next for some tips to survive a summer power outage. I'm Jara with Wicked Prepared. Survive today, thrive tomorrow. We'll see you next time.